Good evening. What is going on, everybody? This is the Boston Sports Summit. I am your host, Tim Barnard. We are presented by the Grid Network, and man, am I excited. This has been one of the craziest lead-ups, I think, into a Thanksgiving I've seen in recent years. I mean, I was just on this show last week talking about the Patriots, talking about how basically it's AFC Championship and probably Super Bowl appearance or bust, right? But with what just happened on Sunday, do we need a little bit of a reset? Because it might look that way. But before I get into that, I do want to say, too, that the Red Sox signing Sonny Gray, man, does that bring up just some more issues for the Red Sox time after time. Are we going to be in for another ridiculous hot stove? Kind of looks that way. And then, two, youth sports are being ruined. And what I mean by that is I want to go into this question, and I'll go there. But for now, think about this. When did you fall in love with sports? When did you enjoy watching, playing, and what was it about? How did that happen for you? All right? Comment down below. We're going to get to that near the end of the show when we start talking about how youth sports are being ruined. But first, got to get into the Patriots. Got to recap Sunday's crazy game against Cincinnati. I thought that the Patriots were going to annihilate Cincinnati. I thought it was going to be a cupcake of a game, but it turned out it was a much, much closer game than I or anyone really expected. 26-20 with Cincinnati basically having the opportunity to win that game. If they score that touchdown at the end of the game, they win. I doubt Evan McPherson would have missed that point after attempt. So it was just a crazy game, and which leads me into, a reset. I came on here last week and was talking about how the Patriots, they're running away with it. They're so good. It is AFC Championship appearance, win, or bust. Like, the roads were all leading to Foxborough. I am a little bit more nervous of playing Denver in Denver, which is why I want to have the number one seed outright. And if we have to face Kansas City here at Foxborough, I think we can still win. I like that. Even though Patrick Mahomes, I still like our chances in that regard. Other than going to Denver and playing in that hellhole where we're 0-4 all time. So, in the playoffs at least. So, I was watching this game and I had to think to myself, I was like, man, those were my expectations. And now you have pundits like Tommy Curran coming out saying that the Patriots have a very real possibility of losing the next 3 games. And also saying, too, that everything now is just gravy. Everything now is just gravy. And that's what I fought against last week, is that, no, everything is not gravy. Yes. At the start of the season, did any of us expect to be here? No. Did you expect to be here? 10-2, the first team to 10 wins, holding on to the number one seed in the AFC with a real possibility of us playing in the AFC Championship and the Super Bowl. Real possibility. Did you expect that at the start of the season? Because I didn't. I sure as hell didn't. I'm not going to sit here and say that. I did say, though, that this should be a 12-win team because our schedule was so freaking easy. I was probably 75 to 80% believed that we should be a 12-win team because I knew that our schedule was easy. I'm looking at that. I'm looking at the rosters. I'm, comparing last year to this year. And I'm like, listen, if Drake May takes the lead, this is where we should be. But I'm also not, like, I also didn't look at it as if this is going to be a 10-2 team that is going to, compete now. I thought we were going to be a 12-win team that, maybe we'll get knocked out of the divisional round, at worst the wild card, because Drake May, we're still learning. We got a brand new left tackle. We got, this, that, and the other. That was my thought going into this. Not realizing Buffalo looks like trash. Kansas City has come down from Planet Zippy to, wherever the hell they are at 6-5. Baltimore, they've rattled off several in a row, but they don't look like the Baltimore Ravens that I feared 10 plus years ago. With Joe Flacco, with Terrell Suggs, Ray Lewis, and Ed Reed, those guys. They don't look like that right now. Cincinnati, Joe Burrow. I mean, he's been out. He's going to be playing on Thursday. But I'm just looking at it going, it's not, the AFC is so wide open. And yes, I do fear Denver. In Denver, I still fear their defense. They got a great defense, great defensive line, great corners, especially Pat Surtain, who has been hurt. But if he comes back and he's ready to go by playoff time, that's a team you got to fear. The defense, you've got to fear. Whereas their offense, a little suspect here. I'm not going to do this because the kids are so done with that stupid thing that they do with that. I'm not going to do it, but it pissed me off. Otherwise, this game in Cincinnati, I thought last week's game was kind of a wake-up call. It should have been a wake-up call. But I think this is. And I think this is the point that I'm trying to make is going back to like what Tommy Curran had to say. And listen, love Tommy Curran. I think he's great. Would love to have him on the show. Talk some Patriots, have some fun with it. But the idea that everything now is gravy. That's what it's not when he said, "Oh, we have a possibility of losing 3 in a row to the Giants, Bills, and Ravens." That please. I'm not going to take that seriously. What I am going to take seriously is when he said everything is gravy. That is what pisses me off, and that's why everything that just rattled off about the AFC teams, I look at as, no, it's not gravy. We should have the ability to change our expectations. And by changing our expectations, that's okay. It's all right to change your expectations and to start off the year looking at this 4-13 team for the past 2 years and say, listen, I think that we have a real possibility of winning double-digit games this year. Not high double digits, but double digits nonetheless. And that's mostly because the schedule is easy. And as long as our quarterback is able to make that second-year leap with the offensive coordinator that coached Tom freaking Brady and made Mac Jones look serviceable, I don't see why we couldn't win double-digit games. And when going to now and changing the expectations, that's perfectly okay to do. Because by changing the expectations, yes, you have to come, I think you do have to understand where you started. You have to understand this team sucked. I had some expectations for them. But fast forward to today, Now, okay, this team is real. This team is legit. This isn't a fake good team. This is a real good team. And no, everything is not gravy, because if you have that mentality, you're going to sit there and be like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, we just lost to the Giants, Bills, and Ravens, and, oh, we just got knocked out of the wild card round. That's okay. Look at how good we did. Look at the improvements that we made. Do you really have that mentality? Is that really what you're thinking? Because if that's the way you're thinking, why are you a sports fan at all? Because the idea of playing sports is to win. As Herm Edwards says, you play to win the game. And by winning the game is winning the championship. Now, can this team win the title? Of course they can. But I don't look at this team as a fake good team. I don't look at this team as a team that should or could get knocked out of the wild card round. Now, if circumstances fall, then okay, then that makes sense. Like, we're just starting to get the injury bug. I'll talk about that in about 15 minutes. But it's that idea that the rest of the season is gravy no matter what happens, I think is a loser's mentality. So please, if you're saying that the rest of the season is gravy, at this point, as the number one team in the NFL, first team to 10 wins, sitting as the number one seed in the AFC, if you're saying the rest of the season is gravy, stop watching sports. Go read a book. Knit a sweater, why don't you? Because sports aren't for you. It doesn't make sense to sit there and watch these games and just not have a care because, hey, we've already achieved our goals. No, we haven't. It's week 13 of the NFL season starting tomorrow. It's Thanksgiving. Real football hasn't been played yet. And for you and me out there who have lived 20 years of greatness, who have lived during the Tom Brady era and saw firsthand that real football is played in December, January, and February, then no, the rest of the season is not gravy. And is there a need to reset the expectations? A little bit, but I think reset is more of, let's remember where we started as a back-to-back 4-13 team, what we thought they could do, and now where they are. That is the reset that we need, is to make sure we understand where we started, but here we are today. So don't tell me that the rest of the season is gravy. I'm done hearing that. And I don't care if it's a Thanksgiving euphemism because of tomorrow, Thanksgiving. I just care that the Patriots are a damn good team that are going to go out there and play their asses off and hopefully get to the AFC Championship, get to the Super Bowl, and win. That's it. That's what you want. That's what I want. So let's go, baby. Let's put the pedal to the metal. It's Patriots or bust. We're back, baby. How many times am I going to tell you that? Look at this. How sweet is it to see New England as the number one seed in the AFC? It is back. Everything is back to normal. The Pats are number one. The rest is gravy. See? Look at that. All right. So, going off on that a little bit. Again, we got to talk about the Cincinnati game, starting with the game day grades. Of course, giving A's, Andy Borregales, and surprisingly, Carlton Davis III. Now, listen, I thought Carlton Davis has been serviceable this year. He hasn't been the $20 million man I think we signed him for, but he's been serviceable. And this game I thought was his best game. That PI call, I feel like he just has a target on his back that referees know if he's in the area that, oh, he's going to commit more PIs than not, so they're just going to throw it anyway. Otherwise, when throwing against Carlton Davis, he was targeted 7 times, only allowed 2 catches for 12 yards, forced 4 incompletions, no touchdown, and a passer rating of 39.6 when targeting him. And also he had 8 tackles, so he wasn't afraid to get down and dirty. I thought this was one of Carlton Davis's best games of the year, and a game where he earned that $20 million salary. And as for Andy Borregales, he saved our ass. I thought Vrabel should have used him more. And I'll talk about that goal line drive in just a couple of minutes. But going 4 for 4 on the day and perfect on the point after attempts. Again, he should have been used more due to the fact that not only was he perfect, but we needed the damn points. We needed the damn points. That's what needed to be done. So if he got out there and kicked more often, instead of going for it on 4th down, maybe we would have ran away with this than what happened. So I thought those guys deserved A's. As for B's, I gave it a Hunter Henry and Marcus Jones. Again, very good games from them. Hunter Henry once again became Drake May's security blanket. 7 receptions on 10 targets, 115 yards and a touchdown. Marcus Jones, meanwhile, had the pick 6, which I give him a lot of credit for that, because he basically broke off his zone and was reading Flacco's eyes the entire way. But I give a lot of the blame to Flacco. You know, while Marcus Jones deserves credit for coming off his zone to go get the guy in the flat, Flacco deserves a lot of blame, because the fact that Chase Brown broke out into the flat and had his whole body turned to face Flacco, and Flacco still looking about 15 yards downfield, pump fakes, then turns his whole body to dump off to Chase Brown like that. It was a cupcake, man. That was such a piece of cake for Marcus Jones. I'm surprised that football didn't look like a freaking balloon ball there, because of just how easy that was to read and to pick. Like, it was so easy. Is needless what I'm trying to say. Otherwise, also had the great pass breakup at the end of the game. So with that, I thought he deserved to be. And then moving on to the C's. So guys who are average, you know, had some good, had some bad. I thought Christian Gonzalez was okay in this game. And then the run game was more on like the C- side from the running backs. But starting with Gonzalez, not bad, but that 4th quarter touchdown that he gave up to Tinsley, their 4th string receiver. Christian, what are you doing, dude? You're our number 1 guy. You're supposed to be our lockdown guy. And, you know, maybe not this season, but in the past couple seasons, our best defensive player. You know? I understand, you know, it's not a great look. I understand some things happen. I understand you're not going to win every single play. But it's the 4th string receiver, dude. The 4th string. What are you doing? You know? I get it. He caught one over on you, but in the 4th quarter, too, in this tight game, tough. Wicked tough break. So that's what I mean. It was can't have that. Can't have that. Especially for our number one guy. Otherwise, he was fine. I thought he was, pretty good. But that was a backbreaker. And then for the running backs, man, 25 carries for a total of 80 yards, averaging 3.2 yards per carry. I mean, what are we doing? I understand that, hey, this is the game. You're not going to win every day, but our O-line couldn't get anything going. Our running backs couldn't get anything going. That's really, I think, part of the reason why it was as close as it was, is because even though Cincinnati sucks in the run game on defense, we only ran for 80 yards with our running backs. And I would argue that speaks volumes to our offensive line. And I understand Will Campbell was hurt. I understand Jared Wilson got hurt too. But it's one of those things where I truly believe that Cincinnati kind of got lucky. Because some of those plays, it just looks like they were gassed. Like they are running on fumes, man. This bye week cannot come fast enough. And so those are the guys who I thought were average. They had some good runs, but not a lot of good runs, especially on the freaking goal line, on the 1 yard line. What are we doing? And speaking of defense, I gave D's to our opening drive defense again. Back-to-back weeks. Why? Because Cincinnati had an 11-play, 46-yard drive that ended in an Evan McPherson 54-yard field goal. That now means in 12 games, we have allowed 6 touchdowns and 3 field goals on opening drives. There is teams playing us have a 75% chance of scoring points on their opening drive of the game. 75. 9 out of 12. 3 out of 4. And a 50% chance it's going to be a touchdown. I keep saying that this team is a good team and that they are a more well-rounded team that can make it to the AFC Championship, that can win the AFC Championship and make it to the Super Bowl. And hell, any given Sunday could win the Super Bowl. I truly believe that in my heart. But if you're going to play in the playoffs at any point, God forbid wild card weekend, but if you play at any round and you do this crap, you're going to be putting yourself in a hole that now they've come out of it, obviously a lot. They have come out and won the game after being down, whether it's 7-0 or 3-0. But it's something that they need to fix. And I understand it's been 12 weeks of playing football. Other teams have had byes. Denver just had their bye. Indy last week had their bye. Indy not this past week, the week before, were on their bye. So teams are rested. And you have one of the later byes, which is next week after Monday night's game, which gives you one less day of rest, basically, if you think about it, because you're playing on Monday, you bye, and then you play on Sunday. One less day of rest. Thanks, NFL. But This is something that needs to be fixed. They need to get their act together on that opening drive. And don't get me wrong, if you're going to give me the scenario of, okay, Tim, well, you give up an opening drive score, whether it be a touchdown or a field goal, but then after that, the defense is one of the best defenses in the league. They stop on they only allow 80 yards rushing. They only allow a little over 200 yards throwing, and they are top 5 in points allowed. Would you take that, or do you want them to stop on the opening drive but then become straight average for the rest of the game? It's like, oh, well, okay, then yes, I will take the opening drive fiasco. But what I would like to do, what I would like to have, is to combine being able to play, well, right off the bat on those opening drives, and also being able to play the way we have for the entire game. Is that too much to ask? I think it is. Otherwise. So, again, they got it. I hope they come against New York next week and they play like the well-rounded defense they are. I know they got injuries. They're dealing with a lot of crap. But, and speaking of those injuries, goal line offense and more injuries. So starting with the injuries, obviously Will Campbell just got put on IR today for his knee. Now, reports say that it is a sprain. It is not an ACL tear. There's no structural damage, which is perfect. It's fantastic. Good to know. But Kyrus Tonga is dealing with a chest. Jared Wilson obviously has an ankle injury. He got taken out in the first series of the game. Braden Schooler, ankle. We got Milton Williams, who I guess Milton Williams isn't wearing a boot now. So, kind of a little, all right, I like that. But, again, these guys, I understand they're working hard. They're going to try to come after it. But now we're starting to face the injury bug. And I'm telling you, next week can't come fast enough. The bye week can't get here fast enough. We need to get the injuries healed. It's going to be tough playing against Buffalo. It's going to be tough going into Baltimore, dealing with the injuries that we have. And we've been good with that. God, thank God that we haven't dealt with as bad of an injury bug as many other teams have. The best thing is we're still finding ways to win. Okay? That is huge about this. Just finding ways to win. And speaking of injuries, frequent commenter, not Doug. Injuries really hurt the Pats on Sunday, although the backups filled in pretty well. Backups. Yep, I know what you mean. So, yeah, and he's right. You're right. The backups did their job. They came in, Vidarian Lowe, at left tackle. It's going to be interesting to see how everything plays out. But they, again, God willing, we really don't run into many more injuries the rest of the season, which can help us and propel us in the playoffs. That's what we need. That's what we want. And so going into the other F, which this absolutely deserves an F for, is the goal line offense. I don't know how much more atrocious that goal line offense could have been on Sunday. You got bailed out. But first, let me just read to you and remind you what happened on Sunday. First and goal at the +5. You got Drake May rolling out to his left and just flicks it out of bounds because he didn't have anything. All right, fine. Second and goal at the 5. You dump it off to a Henderson on a swing route to the left-hand side, and he forces his way down to the 1. All right, so you're now third and goal at the 1. Shotgun, and then the D-line shifts in Drake May freaks out because it's probably where they were going to run the ball and calls a timeout. Then they follow that up with, again, still 3rd and goal from the 1. I formation. They got Jack Westover, right, who was useless in this scenario. If you have a fullback, have it be an effing fullback, man. Have it be, Mike Allstott, Heath Evans, who is Jimmy Devlin, like big James Devlin. Come on, get a real fullback, will you? Like, and listen, nothing against Jack, but if you're at the 1 yard line, the half yard line, and you can't punch it into the I formation, your old line and your fullback suck. Sorry to break it to you. Otherwise, even though they didn't run this, 3rd and goal from the 1. After that timeout, I formation. Drake May nearly trips over his guard, and they have a play action rollout to the right, throws to Hunter Henry on an incomplete pass. Not great, especially because I think Drake May read that too late when Henry got open. But then you got 4th and goal from the 1, where, again, it's sometimes, I get it, you want to score touchdowns, and against a bad team, you should have scored a touchdown, but take the points. Take the 3. You're right there. There's no harm in that. But 4th and goal from the 1, May under center. Dax Hill holds Booty on an inside-out route. Booty starts to run in, plants his foot, breaks out. Hill clearly grabs the jersey. I think he was kind of like, like one of those. No. You totally grabbed the jersey and the shoulder pad, dude. Good call by the refs. Now, should it have been a PI or a holding call? Either way, I still think it's an automatic first down. So I don't know why the broadcasters were so, it was before the ball came out, so it should have been a holding. Who cares? The ball's moving a half a yard anyway. Whether it's a hold or a PI, and they're both automatic first downs. So cry. So then we got a brand new set of downs. 1st and goal from the half yard line. Vidarian Lowe is tackle eligible. I formation, lose a half a yard. You brought in an extra O-line to lose a half a yard. Nice. 2nd and goal from the 1.5. Matt Collins, OPI. Touchdown to Hunter Henry, but you kind of got that pick route, which I don't think was as blatant as the broadcasters wanted it to be. But did he cross him up? Yeah, he kind of did. All right, fine. Then you get 2nd and goal for the 11. Beautiful play design on the Hunter Henry shovel pass. The fake toss to Travion to the shovel pass on the inside. And where do we end up? Back at the 1. So now it's 3rd and goal. Patriots had to take a second timeout, not because of a defensive late shift, but then they get into the I formation, 12 personnel. Stevenson gains a half a yard. So now it's 4th and goal from the half yard line. You would think now the second 4th and goal at the 1. All right, let's pump the brakes. Let's just kick the field goal. We couldn't get the touchdown on 7 previous plays. So let's just get 3. It's all right. Walk away with points. No. This is where I think analytics bit Mike Vrabel in the ass. And you know where I stand with analytics and how much I hate them. I hate them because while they give you percentages, that doesn't mean it always works. Something could be a 99%. It works that many times, 99 out of 100. But this could be that very one time. You don't know that. And so on the 8th play, or technically 9th play of the drive, not even drive, 9th play of inside the goal, inside the red zone, it's 4th and goal at the 1, shotgun formation. Always smart when you're in the shotgun and they have everybody scrunched up, in between the A and C gaps. You run up the middle with Stevenson and he gets stuffed. Stevenson's got no momentum from back there. And if you're going to run the ball in the shotgun, here's an idea. Go 4 wide. Get everybody out where it's got to be your O-line versus their D-line and maybe one linebacker. That's the only way to run in a shotgun at the goal line. Otherwise, and again, I'm not even saying that works all the time, but it's like if you got to remove the bodies from in the middle, and that's the way to do it. Go on the outside. Get the receivers out there. Otherwise, that was where analytics bit Mike Vrabel in the ass. And I think Vrabel is not as crazy as Dan Campbell, where everything is analytically driven and analytically based, every decision. But I think there are times where this was one of them. This was 100% that time where Vrabel was like, no, we need to do this. It's going to happen. The numbers tell us otherwise. I do believe that Vrabel is just a player who wants to do it based on gut feeling. But there are times he does seem to go to the numbers, and I think that is what happened here. Otherwise, maybe if we kick the field goal on that first 4th and goal, maybe Cincinnati's not feeling too hot. Maybe we just keep moving the ball and we keep giving ourselves that momentum of getting points. Because sometimes if you start, and again, I know this was in the 3rd quarter, in the opening drive of the 3rd quarter, but sometimes if you just start gaining points, especially in the first few drives of the game, and you're trickling points, whether it be a field goal, whether it be a touchdown, but you're moving the ball consistently and you're getting points, that can be backbreaking to defenses. And I think that could have been it. That could have been the start of the backbreaker, where the next drive or the drive after that, hey, guys, we know we're going to move the ball against them. They're giving us everything we want. But now we're going to go and punch it in. All right? Let's go. Like that. After that, maybe that could have been the backbreaker, and it wouldn't have been a 6-point victory. So the game was not as clean cut. The game was a lot worse than it really should have been. After judging Cincinnati and seeing statistically just how badly they are, guess what? They played a hell of a lot better than the stats tell us. So it's not like you can sit there and read the numbers and read the stats, read the rankings, and say, it's a foregone conclusion. Game's over. You know what I mean? That's what the nerds do. That's what the numbers do. And not for nothing, that's kind of what I did. But unlike the nerds, I actually watched Cincinnati because I have the NFL package. So I can watch the other teams play, whether it be through Red Zone or whether it be full games. I can do that. I have that luxury. Otherwise, this was not a good game from us. And that's okay. Because we got the reset I think we needed. For us to play that way against a bad team, it could be a good mental, hey, we got the win. Wasn't easy. So now, let's bring that into Monday night, where we kick the ass of the hated New York Giants. Because screw the Giants. So, going into this Monday night game, it's 13 straight weeks of playing football. And not just playing football, playing professional football. It's hard. It's tough. And I'm not taking this lightly at all. I'm looking at this team. Yeah, they're not a good team right there. They currently are last in the NFC East. That's it. Man, I totally blanked. AFC, NFC, they sit at 2-10. Again, not a good team. But what they did last week, taking Detroit to overtime the way they did behind Jameis Winston, that's not something to scoff at. If it was Russell Wilson, then I'd be predicting this game like I'd be predicting Cincinnati last week. Russell Wilson at quarterback? Okay. Game's over. We won. It's a foregone conclusion. But Jackson Dart is practicing. He's not out of concussion protocol yet, but he was a full participant today. And so that leads the positional comparisons to look like this. When comparing the two teams, I like our offense better than I like their offense. QB, running back, wide receivers, tight ends. When it comes to the O-line, obviously we just lost our two rookies, and I'm a little worried about that. I'm not saying that we're not going to be that everything is going to suck, that they're just going to be coming from the left-hand side, and the left-hand side is going to be a complete sieve. That's not what I'm saying. But, yeah, of course, I'm looking at this going, hey, Vidarian Lowe. Which Vidarian Lowe are we getting? Are we getting the guy who has shown up from time to time, or we're going to get the guy who is part of the reason why we were 4-13 last year? So I do give the Giants just a slight edge in the offensive line group due to our injuries and the fact that we couldn't run the freaking ball for 1 yard at the 1 yard line multiple times. And then defensively, we lost Milton Williams. Kyrish Tonga could potentially be out on Sunday, which would also hinder our D-line. So that's why I gave them the edge there on top of the linebackers with, Kayvon Thibodeau and Brian Burns. Big fans of them. And fun fact, when I was at Florida as a recruiting assistant, Kayvon Thibodeau was actually at UF for his visit, and so I was showing him around. I brought him out onto the field, and he said he had to use the bathroom. Well, of course, our bathroom, which was right there, was occupied, and so I brought him into the locker room, and all of a sudden, I got reamed out by the equipment manager because he thought the kid stole something. I'm like, dude, I've been in the locker room the entire time. I watched him, walk into the restroom. I stayed in the locker room. I was away from him. I was in the locker room, but it's like, I got yelled at for no reason, basically. Now, if Kayvon did grab something, then sorry. So that's my Kayvon Thibodeau story. Otherwise, I think they're good players. I actually wanted to trade for Kayvon Thibodeau at the trade deadline just to help us get after the quarterback with our rush game, because Harold Landry has been non-existent. He might be dealing with something, and I understand it's injuries teams are being plagued with injuries. Players are playing with injuries right now. But you still need to perform. That's the tough part, So, Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau, that's why I gave New York the edge there at linebacker. Otherwise, DBs, special teams, and staying here in New England, especially after Andy Borregales was perfect last week, and we're going to be home. So, going into the quarterback comparisons, now I did both. I did Jackson Dart, who in all likelihood is going to play on Monday, but I wanted to compare both Jackson Dart to Drake and Jameis Winston to Drake May. So starting with Dart. Dart has played 9 games this year to Drake May's 12. Dart has thrown for 1,417 yards to Drake May's league-leading 3,130. The completion percentage, Jackson Dott is thrown for just under 63% completion at 62.7. And Drake May has got a 71% completion percentage even. Now, Jackson Dott is thrown for 10 touchdowns to 3 picks, whereas Drake May has 21 touchdowns to his 6 interceptions. And last week's interception was brutal, but I also look at it like you had that weird sun shade situation, kind of like when the pitcher is in the sun and the hitter is in the shade and the hitter's eyes have to adjust with the ball being thrown from the sun and then adjust to get it into the shade to see where it goes. That's kind of what I thought that pick Drake May's interception was, but regardless, Jackson Dott has a 93.5 passer rating to Drake May's 110.7, and then Jackson Dott's got a 64.7 QBR to Drake May's 72.7. Now, when looking at Jameis Winston, he's only played in 2 games this year. He's thrown for 567 yards, completed just under 57% of his passes, has 2 touchdowns and 2 picks, has an 83.3 passer rating, and a QBR of 74.4. So it's going to be interesting to see which one we're going to get. I'm leaning it's going to be Jackson Dott just based on him practicing today. And yes, he's still not out of concussion protocol, but if you're a full participant in practice, then signs are looking up for you. And I think I would rather go against Jameis on Monday than against Jackson. Now, I know Jameis is the one with the better arm. He's got a hell of a lot more experience as Jackson Dott's a rookie. But I don't know. There's something about it where Dart being able to run around the way he does and us knowing that Justin Fields, that's all he does, and we couldn't stop him to save our ass, that is a little worrisome to me. But then moving over to the team and how the teams are performing, when looking at the Giants' offense compared to the Patriots' defense, the Giants ranked 13th in the NFL, throwing for 224 yards per game, whereas the Pats' defense ranked 17th in pass yards per game at 213.5. Then the Giants rank 9th in the NFL in rush yards per game at 124.5, whereas the Patriots have dropped just slightly to now 2nd best in the NFL, only allowing 87.7 rush yards per game. But when it comes to scoring, the Giants are 22nd in the league, only averaging 22 points per game, where the Patriots defense ranks 6th, allowing only 18.8 points per game. And then flip side of that, the Patriots offense is 6th in the NFL, throwing for 247.5 pass yards per game, whereas the Giants defense ranks 23rd, allowing 227.8 yards of passing per game. And then the rushing attack, the Patriots are 19th, below average in rush yards per game. We took a massive dive after our performance in Cincinnati, only rushing for 80 yards, at least from the running backs. But the Patriots are 19th, rushing for 112.4 yards per game, whereas the Giants defense is dead last, allowing 157.2 rush yards per game. And then when it comes to points per game, the Patriots score 7th. The Patriots score the 7th most points in the NFL, scoring 26.5 points per game, whereas the Giants defense is 30th, 3rd worst in the NFL, allowing 27.8 points per game. So, again, those are the numbers. Those are the stats. They're a good kind of, piece to use in order to help predict. It's clearly not the prediction you want, but at the end of the day, I think the Pats are going to win this game. I think they are. We're at home. It's Monday Night Football. We got another mainstream game, main event game. It's going to be the last one before our bye. I hope our guys are ready to just throw it all out there, knowing that the bye is right there. But it's going to be a close game, I think, throughout. And then the fourth quarter, I think the Pats do pull away. I think the final score of this game is going to be 28-21 in favor of New England. The Patriots ride into their bye week, 11-2, and just thankful that they get a full week off to help, to rest, to heal, to make sure that nothing crazy is going to happen. But I don't think that this is going to come easy. I don't, so I'm excited, to keep building, to keep trying to pursue that number one overall spot in the AFC. I think it's a very attainable goal and something that we should get. We absolutely should. We're right there now. As long as Denver can fall off, and listen, they got to play Kansas City one more time. They got to play the Chargers one more time. And the Colts had already lost to Kansas City. It's not like they got an easy schedule the rest of the year either. So the Pats have the easiest schedule. It can be done. I know we're going to play Buffalo. I know we're going to play Baltimore. But then we got the Jets and Dolphins to wrap everything up. It can be done. We can get that by. So the next thing I wanted to talk about is I want to go into the Red Sox. The Red Sox made their first move of the offseason, trading for Sonny Gray. Now, let me ask you this. What were the Red Sox looking for this offseason? What was their point? What was their goal? Okay? Because what I remember from a week ago was that Breslow said, quote, I don't think we're going to spend a ton of time trying to add number 4, number 5 starter, end quote. He also said that they were looking for a starting pitcher who can, quote, pitch at the front of the rotation, pitch alongside or slot in behind Garrett Crochet, and start a playoff game, end quote. Interesting. Those sound like pretty reasonable expectations for somebody who works and runs the Boston Red Sox, a team that has the money to spend. Fenway Sports Group that is third in the world in terms of revenue from their sports teams. So are they spending it wisely? That's the $1 million question. Because their solution to the number 2 spot, letting Lucas Giolito walk, and trading for a 36-year-old Sonny Gray, whose ERA is over 6 at Yankee Stadium. But, hey, according to Craig Breslow, after that deal was done, and he had a mini press conference, he just wanted us to be, quote, open-minded, end quote. Which begs the question that, hey, guess what? I think the way Breslow and the Red Sox want to run this team is that there's no such things as a number 1, number 2, number 3 starting pitcher. Nah, they just pitch based on convenience. Hey, did you have 5 days off? Did you have 5 days off? Oh, you got 6 days off? Okay, you're pitching tomorrow. That just reminds me of something like what the NBA does, like what Brad Stevens brought to the Celtics. Positionless baseball, except positions. It's not positions like shortstop, third base, catcher, pitcher. No. It's positions like, oh, yeah, there's no aces. We don't need to put labels on it. It's not like, we're dating or anything. It's that you're not our ace. You're just our really good pitcher because we're hanging out right now. No labels, no labels. Just a good pitcher, a really good pitcher, and then several good pitchers behind him that can pitch the first 5, hopefully 6 innings of a game. Is that how Craig Breslow is running this team right now? And again, did I go a little too far? Did I make a mockery of it? Yeah, sure. But that's what I do. That's the whole point of this, is to have fun and make a mockery of all this. No, but in all honesty, though, this idea of, okay, he's damn well sure that he's not going for a number 4, number 5 starter. You let Giolito walk, which was the right thing to do in terms of what he wanted to come back, in terms of what it would have cost for him to come back, which is fine. I had no problem with that. But then to give up Dick Fitz and and the Red Sox number 5 prospect for Sonny Gray, like, what just happened? That to me screams that you overpaid. Now, of course, we are getting back left-handed prospect Brandon Clark. That's right. Dick Fitz and Brandon Clark, who are the guys that we gave up. We also got Sonny Gray and $20 million. So we're now paying him $21 million. But the thing that bothers me is, yes, at Yankee Stadium, with a minimum of 100 innings pitched, he's got a 6 ERA at Yankee Stadium. The team that we have to play in order to not have to play. Well, we have to play them. But I mean, a team that we have to make sure that we are getting better than. I mean, hell, the Blue Jays just agreed to a deal with Dylan Cease. And yet we're stuck with Sonny freaking Gray. That's what I don't understand. And you're okay with that? Because you're going on, multiple people have come out and stated that multiple people have stated that we're not going to go after guys. Chris Cotillo, quote, "The early sense people around the league are getting is that the Gray move makes the Red Sox less likely to pursue another big-name starter this winter." Okay? You have Rob Bradford, who, where is it? Okay, yeah. Rob Bradford saying, quote, "There are absolutely some in the Red Sox front office who believe what Gray represents is exactly what Breslow was talking about. Some in the offices would even say 2025 Gray isn't that far off from 2025 Joe Ryan." A 35-year-old Sonny Gray is the same as a 28-year-old Joe Ryan, who is under team control for 2 more years? What baseball are you looking at, Craig Breslow? Now I understand that Brandon Clark might suck. Listen, do I want Chaim Bloom to judge our pitching? Excuse me. Who do I think is better at judging pitching? Craig Breslow or Chaim Bloom? I would take Breslow, obviously, in that scenario. And Craig Breslow drafted Brandon Clark. So the fact that he got rid of him, hey, good for you. That's a good move. But I want you to get rid of Brandon Clark for a guy that actually works. Now, if those reports, because that, when I saw this move yesterday, that was my gut reaction is, great. Now the Red Sox are going to use this and try to gaslight us as Red Sox fans to say, guys, Sonny Gray is just as good. Because listen, Sonny Gray, is he a bum? No. And it's not like I hate Sonny Gray as a number 4 guy, as a hell of a number 5 guy. But and Sonny Gray, the best things that I could find, he's averaged over 177 innings pitched over the last 3 years. Great. He led the National League in strikeouts to walk. He had 201 strikeouts to 38 walks. Phenomenal. Fantastic. You don't walk guys. That's great. I love it. Let's go. Bring him in. But to do so and make us think that this is going to be the number 2 guy that you said, quote, can pitch at the front of the rotation, can pitch alongside or slot in behind Garrett Crochet and start a playoff game. First of all, when you said start a playoff game, did you mean game 2 or game 6? Or game 4, you know, if you want to do the first 4 guys. Because that's kind of a big deal. Starting game 2 versus game 4. And you think a 36-year-old pitcher who's averaged over 177 innings pitched the last 3 seasons is in his prime and that he's going to still continue to put up a 200 strikeout season to just 40 walks. And it's funny because you have Red Sox fans who, I swear, some of you guys are turning into, Celtics Bobos, that everything is awesome. That, hey, we made the right move going after Sonny Gray, and the Blue Jays were dumb by getting Dylan Cease on a 7-year deal. At least the Blue Jays are showing you that they're trying. Because what this Sonny Gray move said to me initially was that this could be a great back end of the rotation guy. A guy that, yes, God forbid something were to happen, hey, then we could bring him up and make him the number 2 guy. But where he would be poised and primed would be that back end of the rotation. He's 36 years old. I understand Justin Verlander is 50 and he's still trying to pitch. But that doesn't mean that this is going to be Sonny Gray. And that's what's pissing me off. Because everyone's speculating, too, that, hey, it's November. Stop speculating. We don't know how he's going to be in 2026. You're right. I don't know. But it's the exact same way that I didn't know Garrett Crochet was going to put up the numbers that he put up in his very first time as an ace when we traded for him. I was excited. I was jumping up and down for joy, thinking that we found our ace. But did I know that he was going to be the ace of 2025, where he was going to put up the numbers that he did, that you could argue, got robbed of a AL Cy Young behind Skubal? And don't get me wrong, Skubal's great. Skubal had a great year. No, I didn't know that when we acquired Garrett Crochet. Just like Sonny Gray could go out and be better than Dylan Cease. Great. I love it. But just like you're telling me to not speculate, is the exact reason why I'm speculating, is because just like you, I don't know. I don't. I don't know what's going to happen in April of 2026. I don't know if the Red Sox are going to even be in the playoffs come October of 2026. I don't, and you don't either, unless you got some crystal ball, which, please, give me the lottery numbers. You know, it would be really helpful. We'll go 50-50 on it. Thank you in advance. Otherwise, the people who, this is why I said that, you got some Red Sox fans who seemingly want this stuff to be great, that the Red Sox went out and made the right moves and the other teams are going to be stupid. This is exactly the same talk that I hear, from green teamers, where it's like anything that they do is awesome. Jay Crowder. Oh my God, Jay Crowder is the best player in basketball. He's got the best contract. Yeah, well, I was also the same guy that was saying Jay Crowder was a bum, that he was the most overrated Celtic during the Bridgie years. Because he was. He was. You put him in any other championship team lineup, and he's going to be the eighth man off the bench. That's who Jay Crowder was. And so, listen, this Sonny Gray deal, I don't know what the Red Sox have ahead of them. Could they still go out and get Joe Ryan? Absolutely. Am I going to jump up and down in joy for that? You bet your ass. Because what that's going to do is now it's going to change my perception of this Sonny Gray deal. Because we finally went out and got a number 2 starting pitcher. The problem is, though, as Red Sox payroll has in their numbers, the Red Sox have roughly $20 million more to spend before they hit the first luxury tax. And if we all know what John Henry and the Fenway Sports Group are about, it's about not spending a damn cent over that. Because they refuse to do that. That's why do you think John Henry is one of the guys who's pushing for the Major League Baseball to get a salary cap, so that way he can say to the fans, hey, look, I'm spending up to the cap. I'm doing what you asked, versus doing what the Dodgers are doing and spending over, doing what the Yankees are doing and spending over, doing what the Mets are doing and spending over. John Henry's done with those days. And it all started the day that he traded Mookie Betts. Because he hates these long-term, big-time contracts. But as it stands today, Wednesday, November 26th, the day before Thanksgiving, while, sure, does this help our roster today? Yes. If we get the Sonny Gray, that's going to pitch 180 innings and have a strikeout to walk ratio just like he did last year, 201 to 38. If he's got that same thing in him next year, phenomenal. I love it. But the Red Sox need a legitimate number 2 guy, and a 36-year-old Sonny Gray is not that. They need a legitimate number 2 guy. They need to bring back Alex Bregman at third base to solidify our left side of the infield, which I've talked about ad nauseum. When you look at it, Marcelo Meyer and Nate Eaton, that's not the future. That's not how it should be. Marcelo Meyer should be playing at second. He's a middle infielder. So we need that number 2 starter. We need Alex Bregman, and then we need that power bat. We need that Kyle Schwarber. If Philly lets him go, he's a free agent, I know, but I'm just saying. If Philly lets him go, the Red Sox should do better, match and or do better. to bring Kyle Schwarber back to Boston, and at worst, get Pete Alonso. We need 1, 2, 3 transactions that is definitely going to put us above the competitive balance luxury tax. And we got about $39 million in between the second tier luxury tax. I think for $40 million we can do that, because if we go out and get Joe Ryan's still under contract for another 2 years, and he's at good money. It's just like a rookie quarterback contract. You get your guy, he's under contract, and it's cheap. It's effing cheap. So you're not spending much there at number 2. The only thing you've given up is trade capital. That's it. Bringing Bregman back, $30 million a year, give him 6 years, done. End of story, no question about it. Then get that power bat, top tier power bat. Schwarber hit 56 home runs last year. 56. You imagine having a guy in our lineup cracking 56 home runs, and then, God forbid, having to play at Yankee Stadium again, where Schwarber, the lefty, is towering home runs into the triple deck at Yankee Stadium, shutting 55,000 Yankee fans up, just like Curt Schilling said back in 2004. And to pair him with Roman Anthony, too. Oh. You'll love to see it. It can and should be done. Expecting anything less and saying that they had a successful offseason, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't. You know, it's absolutely infuriating what the Red Sox do, and then how they try to gaslight us into thinking, oh, see, we got a guy. We got our number 2 guy. It's Sonny Gray. Yay. No, that's not a number 2 guy, and that's not the number 2 guy we were all talking about. You had Mackenzie Gore in Washington. You have Sandy Alcantara in Miami. I said it again. You got Joe Ryan in Minnesota. Again, you have guys you can go after. But then you took the 36, the guy who's in the final part of his career, for $21 million? Yeah, that's really spending your money. So if you read any of these beat writers saying that, see, the Red Sox spent money, that, you know, any of these sports talk radio guys, the Red Sox spent money. They did. They paid $21 million for Sonny Gray. Is $21 million for Sonny Gray good? Or does that mean they actually did their job, or were doing their job, meaning getting somebody younger, better, in their prime, that still is on their arbitration deal, that's still under team control, for a lot less value, and then re-sign them to a $21 million deal? You know, it's funny because when I say they need to spend money, a lot of you, and it's rightfully judged, I get this, but when I say spend money, I don't just mean to just Pablo Sandoval, here's $300 million. Have fun. No. I mean, go out and do your due diligence and go out and get the right guys and make sure you're not giving up the farm for them. I understand you got $20 million back. I understand you got a 36-year-old pitcher. But if they're going to sit there and now claim him as the number 2 guy, I'm done. I know. I keep bringing it up. I'm sorry. I know. What is this? Joe Pesci from Lethal Weapon? I know. Okay. All right. Now, finally, to bring up the question that I asked at the start of the show. When did you fall in love with sports? What was it that made you fall in love with the game? Any game. Hockey, baseball, basketball, football. Hell, I'd even let you say soccer. When was it and why? And what is it about sports that means so much to you? Well, thank you guys. I really appreciate you tuning in. This was a fun show. You know, this is the Boston Sports Summit. I am your host, Tim Barnard. Don't forget to please give a like, share, subscribe. I see about 60 of you guys tuning in. So if you wouldn't mind giving a nice follow on any of the social medias, even subscribe, it's free to do. You know, it would be really greatly appreciated, and I'd say a prayer for you, you know, as a thank you. But otherwise, you know, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you're as big of a Boston sports fan as I am. If you liked what you had to hear, please comment down below. If you disagreed with me, great. Comment down below. I'd love to sit down, have a conversation with you, and, you know, see where we disagree, see if we can find some common ground. Because that's, hey, we're all, at the end of the day, we're all Boston sports fans. We want to see our teams win championships just like we have for the last 20 years. So that's the show. Appreciate you guys tuning in. This is the Boston Sports Summit. I am your host, Tim Barnard. We are a part of the Grid Network. I love it. Great group of guys. Also, don't forget to give them a follow, too. You give me a follow, give them a follow, too. Great group of guys, great content creators over there. And we also got college football shows, Saturday morning tailgate. We got rivalry weekend this weekend, so that's going to be live Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern. Hope to see you there as well. So thank you so much. Have a great rest of your night. Happy Thanksgiving, and hope you have a great rest of your week. God bless. Thank you.